Welcome to the DNX Show. We're here every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. My name's Todd Ryan. I'm one of your hosts. My co-host is Josh Reason. We talk about domain name investing each week, really sometimes other domain topics and sometimes just general topics. But it's an open discussion. Hope you can join us. First, before we get rolling, let me say hello to my co-host. Hey, Josh, how's everything going?
Hey Todd, all good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah, so I don't know. I haven't talked to you in the last week, so let me ask you, what's new at DNX as we can get rolling. We might talk about it later, but just for me, what's been happening? The registrar getting ready to kick off, and you got the brokerage business, and of course, your platform in general. But anything new you want to, you know, anything new you
No,
want to?
nothing really. We're kind of just head down. We're pretty locked in on the registrar side, but um, it's just like anything. It requires a lot of testing and a lot of compliance related things, and you're trying to work with, for us, 10, 11 different registries, so they're all different companies that you have to coordinate with, and go through various training stuff. So it's a long process, but we're uh, we're getting there.
Yeah, I was pulling up something. I'm building a site for the for the that challenge, and basically, I would say the Beanstalk challenge. But I think a lot of us. I had to take a look at this thing. It's so impressive. But basically, a lot of us are doing things way out of our league, and I'm creating a platform that allows people to stream live. And when you're streaming live, basically you have a channel, and when you're streaming live, you can charge whatever you want. Basically, in crypto, you can charge 1 penny a minute, 1 penny for the whole live stream, $5, whatever. But the viewer goes on your page. There's no sign in from the viewer. They just go to your channel, and if they want to see your live stream, they connect their wallet. Your wallet's already connected, the creator, and you just send over your payment via the X402 protocol. But I bring it up because you're talking about testing, and I know it's, even the AI says it. It's like I did 2 months worth of work that an engineer would do in 2 days, 3 days. And how did I do it? Well, 7 in the morning till midnight last night. Now, I don't want to tell Jeff Newman too much because, yeah, I'm also, I work full time with him over at the law firm, and I did do an hour or two worth of work yesterday for the firm. But when you start building, and I'm talking about, you know, you're, you know, building, I don't know, I say it's pretty sophisticated. You're going to see it soon. Basically, it's going to be at dick.com. You can go there now and already sign up and reserve your channel. It's basically the site's live. It's just when it comes to, some of the, I mean, we have, just all the different companies that I'm having to work with. And I think, builders know, from Supabase to Versal to these companies called Resend to obviously the X402 protocol. But I'm learning so much, but I'm just basically like a race car driver that is just, okay, they put me in the seat. I'm driving, little experience, but they're telling you along the way, do this, do this, do this. And if you're willing to do it, it's like I said, anyway, jumping out of an airplane. And if you're willing to, you need to know a little bit about, uh, I would say, VS Code, working on it, and being able to have some confidence in what you're doing. But anyway, I've learned more about building in the last 3 days than I have the entire time prior. And and I think a lot of people, when they start learning some stuff too, they realize, they look back and they think, geez, all the time that I spent with engineers and developers doing things that now super would be super simple to do. I'm doing some real sophisticated stuff, but we'll see that it'll be done here probably at the end of today. But I was going to launch July 4th. But I bring that up because I look forward to. I guess there's 5 judges, and now that I'm so impressed with some of the things I'm working on, I'm certain it outperforms these other fucking people. I'm absolutely confident of that. That I don't know. I might end up winning the Bentley, but I don't know. I like Phase Four the best. I want to win the condo. Hey, if anybody wants to check out our outline for today, go to dnxshow.com/outline. There's some topics, Josh. I was really just going to touch on, a lot of different things like we normally do, but pricing other extensions as compared to .com. I had that on the outline because there was I guess I haven't read Shane's blog yet today. I think pedal.com was on there, and you said you thought it might go for a buck 50, 150,000. I'll check and see where that's at, but you said, hey, if anybody wants pedal.io, you can get it for 10,000. So I wanted to ask you, definitely with the .ios, but with regards to other extensions, do you, when you price your .ios, do you seriously, and I'm thinking that you do, consider what would you price what has it sold for, what would you price the .com at, and then you uh, maybe use a percentage, like I'll price this at 10% of the .com, but how do you price other extensions as compared to the .com? Any insight you can share with us?
Yeah, I don't compare it at all to the .com. I think that kind of ties into what we were what I was talking about the other day with Samit, and that was he was he didn't understand why I was saying that compound.xyz is a better name than legal.xyz. And then, his immediate comparison was, so are you saying that compound.com is better than legal.com? And the answer to that is no, because .com is just completely different um, than other TLDs. So each TLD needs to be assessed individually based on how it's used. Um, so no, I don't look at what I would value the .com at. I look at the SLD and TLD in unison and make a decision on pricing uh, based on those things coming together as one. Um, the SLD is just uh, half of the puzzle.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. No, because if it goes with the TLD, then of course it may be 50% of the price of a .com, maybe even equal, I guess, somebody could say it's, you know, a lot closer because now you've really just got rid of, the .com extension, and some things make good sense. So that does make sense. Well, but with the .io for this specific example, pedal.com.
Mm.
So you think that might go for 150,000 at a GoDaddy expired auction?
Pedal.com. Yeah, I wouldn't pay 150,000 for it. But I think that it will probably go in that range. Yeah. I can see I mean I could definitely see it going for 80, 90, 100 as well, and at that price I think that a savvy investor can pick it up. But these kind of names don't come along very often, and when they do, everyone wants them, so someone will end up, paying a little bit more for it. I would say. Um, it's not like a tier one word.com. There's a little bit of confusion uh with the word pedal spelled peddle. um and it's not amazing usage, it's decent usage, but I would consider it more of like a tier two brandable one word.com. um and I think that those tier twos, are definitely going for, low six figures these days.
Yeah, I did not even Think about PEDDLE. That's a good one. I was thinking PETAL, like a rose petal, and yeah, it's like the word Rome, ROAM or ROME. This it because there's a lot of single words that um, I think yeah, I have one living assistance. Well, yeah, mine's assistance assistant with an S. Like an assistant, a living assistant, and then you have assistance,
Yeah.
that word, and you got CE, right? NCE. So there
I
are
mean, there are
definitely,
some, there are some that are like incredible, and they are tier one, like Flare and Flare. But each one of those has amazing usage, and then another one would be like Byte and Byte. Both of those are incredible names, like tier A or tier one, whatever you want to say. But Pedal, not quite there.
yeah, you're right about the bite and bite. I mean, those are great names, and then, but still, it could be confusing, but still, they're such big names, and it truly is, domains we know, they're like snowflakes. They're real, they're real fragile. No, they're unique, um, and the pricing. Um, okay, so anybody want to comment on anything? Raise your hand. Come on up. It's an open discussion. I was talking about David Sustiel when he before he got here, and that was about David when you did that. Hey, our domain's liquid, and you put crates. I believe it was crates on X, and then you end up selling it. And then I see now you did about 4 or 5 hours ago your portfolio. Here's my portfolio, $150. I mean, $150,000, and let's see if it's liquid. As we said, it's so difficult to sell portfolios because people just, this guy only likes those 18 names. This person over here likes this whole sector of names and doesn't think these are valuable at all. But more of also when it shows, okay, so you went out of the business, but yet, you sell not out of the business. Maybe you just planned on keeping a few or taking some of the money and starting over. But you're one of the few that sell so many to existing customers, existing clients. They buy a name and come back. Me, the only time I've ever done that is when it's a plural or just that's probably it. I've done it maybe a half dozen times over fucking 20 years, but it's usually because there's another related name, whether it's cannabisphysicians.com and sold the singular or sold the one with Marigahuchi in it. But yeah, David, I'm interested to know a couple things. If you're wanting, if that's just flat out your price to move on and start developing and not really invest in domains as much anymore, or if you got some other things on your mind that I'm not aware of. But yeah, I know it's late where you're at, but if you can join us, come on, let us know what's up. But Josh, selling a portfolio, we talked about that. I put on the outline, let's fight about fair market value. Not me and you, but I mean just the group. But well, David's up here. What have him say? David, thanks for joining us. What instigated you to make this portfolio for sale offer on X? Nice to talk to you. What's up?
Hi, Todd. Thank you for the time. I hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, like you mentioned, I did a test a few months ago about crates.com, and I posted is a oneword.com liquid, and it sold within an hour for 20 grand. And we hear a lot of chatter and talk lately. Everyone thinks their portfolio is worth $1 billion or things like that, based on appraisals or whatnot. And as a whole, in my opinion, it's a lot harder to sell. Like you said, some people think these domains are bad and these are good. People have different flavors. My This is not my whole portfolio. I have close to 2,000 domains. I'm selling this website with 600 domains that sell for at an average price of about $2,500 to $3,000 per name. Obviously, some names there are 5 figures, some are 4 figures, but Yeah, I'm looking to sell it, see if anyone is interested. It's including the website, the brand, ultra premium domains. If someone has, like a crazy portfolio of just ultra premium domains, this could be a great marketplace to focus just on that, or just, any regular premium domains. But we'll see what the market says. I'm open for offers. If anyone is interested, yeah, I'm testing it out.
So 3,000 times 600 is 1.8 million. So you're thinking offering it at about 10% of that, meaning, all right, so people aren't going to sell every name anyway, especially if it's not at retail. So I can see where you're, saying, okay, but Josh, is there any way I mean, I know you'd really have to comb through the names, the price, like I said, sometimes past history of sales. You want to look at the track record, but when you're looking at a portfolio real fast, I guess I think what are just the first questions you ask about a portfolio? Obviously looking at the names, but is it just I don't know. I'm trying to think of what's a way that what can help David sell a portfolio of 600 names? For 150,000.
Yeah, each portfolio is obviously different, but I would want to see consistent sales for those similar quality names, and then I would probably just do a multiple of that revenue. But it depends on the names. Each kind of category of domain is valued differently. If it was 600 premium domains, like super premium domains, I would just value them each individually, and then come to some kind of agreement on a bulk deal. 600 names is not that many, so I think that's probably the best way of doing it, is valuing each one individually.
David, what are some highlights in the portfolio that's for sale?
Like for example, on the homepage, you can see some the hot domains category, domains that have been searched the most on my website. Because I use my own landers, I can tell how many views, how many inquiries each domain receives. For example, I have a four-letter.com, which is MedP, short for Med Pharma, Med Payments, Med anything, Medical Park, Medical. There's so many companies that are name is MedP. Last year, I sold PMed for 100 grand alone. So that domain, in my opinion, alone could fetch you 50 to 150 grand for the right buyer. That's just my opinion, based on the data that I see. So if you only sell uh, 3 to 5 domains from the homepage, the rest is all gravy, all profit, and you have a nice little website, brand, and I have repeated clients who daily and weekly come back to ultra premium domains. They look at my portfolio because they bought domains from me in the past, and they reach out to me directly. So like, whoever takes over the business, it's pretty simple. Everything is in one GoDaddy account, the WordPress website, all the domains. We simply swap out, the passwords, and we change the email, Telegram, and WhatsApp contact info from mine to the new owner. And the next inquiry will go directly to them, and they'll keep growing the business and establish repeat clients and establish new clients, and take it from there. I know people are not a big fan of GoDaddy evaluation tool estimate, but there's hundreds based on just on GoDaddy's evaluation, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. But again, I don't care about that evaluation. Whoever is really interested can contact me, and I'll send them an Excel to review each domain. They're mostly iGaming domains, tech domains. That's it. I don't mess with anything else. That's what sells. That's what I've been selling for years. And repeat buyers. I repeat buyers that keep coming back to me, to my website.
What is the asking price?
150,000 for the 600 domains with the website and ultrapremiumdomains.com.
You're just you're just trying to do raise some money for, or are you like done with domain investing?
No,
What's your
I have almost 2,000 domains. This is only 600. I have 1,400 more domains. I'll just build
Mm.
another website, another brand, and keep going. I've been doing this for 25 years. I build online businesses and sell them, whether it's lead gen, whether it's domain, whatever it is. Once in a while, after a year or two, the business is established. It has clients. I'll put it up for sale. I raise some cash. I profit from that. I invest in real estate. I do other things, and I keep going. I still have a lot more domains left.
Yeah, some people have portfolios 100, 200 names, so keeping that many, you could anyway. You're gonna have more than me once if you sell this. But what were you saying? GoDaddy valued what at 100 grand? You meant more than that.
I mean, if you add up every single domain with using only the GoDaddy valuation tool, you have hundreds of thousands of dollars of uh, estimated value for the portfolio. But again, with
So
a
no,
grain
I
of
mean I
salt.
look at that. So there's two numbers there. There's the high number and the low number. So they have their wholesale. So curious. I've done that, and I think we all know the GoDaddy. I think they're working on it. I was going to talk about valuation tools, and I saw DNW. It worked with Mike Seiger, and they went through like 15 appraisal tools, and they ended up saying, or he posted that he thought Adam was the best at this point. But anyway, the good thing about the GoDaddy tool is, of course, you use it on your own portfolio, and like everyone, I think most people agree, it definitely sorts out your names in your best names. It appraises the highest, or what you also think are your best names. It might not appraise them accurately, but it'll appraise them higher than your other names in your portfolio that you feel you know what I'm talking about. So
Yeah, like for example, yeah, like just like you said, the highest, like for me, my highest in this portfolio is medp.com. It's appraised at $10,000 and change. And then the following is 9,000, 9,000, 8,000, things like that. So that's estimated at 10 grand alone, medp.com, for example.
sometimes I have some audio problems. I think I got so much running on my computer and mouse. You ever have problems? Anybody with your mouse not working, you stopping sometimes because you got too many programs open, or anybody on a Mac? Why would I ask?
It's
Do you
usually
have
the
problems with
battery.
scale?
I just charged my Mac
Yeah,
with a
well,
wire.
that's just in the last couple of days because I know it's because I'm got so many things going on, and it's just using up too much, whatever. Um, all right, I was yeah, good luck on that. I mean, I like to hear. I mean, basically, so it ultra premium domains.com, is everything listed there? Is that everything on that site? One of the
Everything
names
is
that's included in the
listed
package?
there. Yes, sir. And also on the homepage, people can feature their domain. So I have some additional revenue for people sponsoring to list their domain. So there's additional revenue from that coming as well. And the revenue helps offset domain renewals and purchases. And you can always scale that by promoting that section. So yeah, everything is on the website. And I can send an Excel to whoever is interested privately. They can email me. My email's on the website.
I think you know, interesting. Maybe I don't know. I'd have to look at the names and the pricing, but I could certainly see somebody who people spend so much money in this space. They don't think they are. They think they're just spending 500, and then 1,000, 5,000, then 10. Then they're buying
It
the
adds up.
aftermarket.
Yeah, it adds up.
And then you're at $150, and you got a website, and that's where people think they want to end up, with a cool marketplace, a domain marketplace, names already in it, and then up off and running. So definitely, would somebody buy it for 5,000? Maybe. Would somebody buy it for 25? 100,000, 150? How about a quarter million? I mean, you've picked your price, and now it's time to see who has interest in really the whole business, and also the names, and if there's anything there. But what's nice to know is, for anybody that's looking for domain names, okay, he's got a part of this portfolio. If it doesn't work out, you can tell David's willing to part with some of the names. So maybe you can pick off a few that you like. So go to ultrapremiumdomains.com and check out what's going on there. I'm going back to
Thanks.
the
And also
DNX.
for people who are new to the industry or they've been in it for a short time, I'm also offering 90 days or longer if they need, consulting, training, showing them what kind of domains sell for my portfolio, where I buy them, things like that. So obviously the advanced domainers don't need that, but if anybody's just starting out and they need some help, so I'll be more than happy to hop on Google Meet a few times a week and teach them, train them, consult them. So that's also out there.
Yeah, it's a nice offer. Josh, I had a sour taste in my mouth the other day. It was from eating a lemon. No, it was about, you know, well, I don't know if I want to bring it up here, but I'm going to. And that is, yeah, when you hear about people getting paid and sponsored and stuff, maybe it's because they have blogs. But to me, well, one, I can't believe. So I never get paid. That's why I promote my own stuff. You're the I consider you like especially this last decade, right? People have seen where you've come from as a domain investor, what you've built, the basically partnerships you've had with other domain investors and relationship you've built with them, but then building DNWE and now working on DNX and basically um, all you share with the community. No one reaches out and say, hey, why don't you? Of course, you really can anyway. You need to promote DNX and can't really promote other stuff, but never really approached us. I don't recall many people, a few, just bullshit individuals saying, hey, I'll do this for you, Todd, if you can promote what I'm doing. And I end up doing it anyway. But yeah, so Josh, did we just get overlooked? It's going to come back and get them. Believe me, I'll never forget this. All this fucking time, no one wants to fucking, sponsor. I, anyway, what do you have to say about it, Josh? How mad are you?
Uh, I haven't thought about it, man. I don't ever think about it.
Hmm.
I don't care about those pennies. We care about those pennies.
Just when I see them going to somebody else. I mean, I guess you're right when it comes to that. If I knew the numbers, but anyway, I don't believe one thing because I'm like, you know, but I'm not going to even bring up some of the podcasts and sites that say good things about companies when they're
Yeah, I
getting
mean,
sponsored by
listen,
them.
I've been doing this. I've been doing this like podcasting and spaces and Sherpas and all that kind of thing for a long time. And I've never been paid for it. I had a couple of sponsors when I used to podcast back in like COVID time, but you know, that's about it. None of it is, that's not why I do it, So I don't think about it. If that was why I did it, I wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I almost did enter into a little deal with the company. We could have reached an agreement, but then I didn't have the time because now I'm doing all this stuff, this illegal bullshit. But and I love it because it's exactly what I wanted to do and not have to be, not have to, you know, be an attorney. But so anyway, okay, that's not what I wanted to talk about today. But I just like to, think maybe you never know what I can do to get Josh riled up. Valuing exact match domains. Yeah, you mentioned something on X about EMDs and other extensions are not worth much, or basically drastically the value falls off when they're not in the .com extension. But just in general, exact match domains, are they on the upswing or are they on the downswing, or you think they've plateaued? In the old days, they were so valuable. That's how people knew shit. I'm going to try to buy a fucking bike chain. I'm going to go to bikechain.com. What do you think about EMDs, their value in .com and other extensions?
Um, well, I don't think there's much value in EMDs in most extensions, to be honest. .com there is. Uh, it depends on the type of EMD as well. I mean, like if you want to say something like lawyer.com or something like that. I mean, lawyer.ai is obviously very valuable. So EMDs in .ai are pretty valuable. But outside of that, not, most of the other alts, I would probably just stay away. So I think .ai and .com, yeah, there's definitely value there. Outside of that, I would probably ignore.
Instead of asking people to repost this room, smart hosts say repost this. Got 36 people in here. Thank God for you guys. And we do get a lot of people listening, but what would help us more is do like David did, come on stage, and then people see on X, you mean he's on stage talking? And it makes us look good even if you don't say anything. So raise your hand, come on up, and take up a chair. And I don't care if you say anything at all. Um, no, I'm in actually an okay mood today. Okay, I'm looking at another an outline. Let's fight about the fair market value of domains. All right, this usually gets people up here sometimes. But Josh, we said it. There's no fair market value. I guess I was gonna. This goes into my little topic, price discovery. Okay, so we know it's not. People will just tell you, like when Ryan put on NamePros, and okay, there was a name I guess posted ai.exchange sold for 100,000 on, and not on NamePros, but it's sold on Afternic. But the guy posted on NamePros. Talk about that too. ai.exchange 100 grand. But when NamePros, it's got more. I know it says it's got 1 million members, but it's got more people there that check it out than domain Twitter. Believe me, there's more because it's more concentrated. You know, there's a lot more people that see certain posts and for sales. Anyway. So Ryan was selling something. He said xqo.com. I'm selling this 3-letter starting at $1. Okay, my question was, okay, so I love seeing stuff like that. So we get to see, I guess true price discovery. But the thing is, so he did this. It got bid up, no reserve. It got bid up to 10,250, 10,500. The next bid was going to be 10,070. Somebody bids 15,000, and it was this gentleman from this online 4L.com. He owns 4L.com, that 2-character name. But I don't know why you just wouldn't bid 11,000. People just want to give away money, or you needed it. At XQO, that's my wife's initials, and that's my ex-wife's initials, QO. So I just put XQ. So, it just seemed unusual to me. Why would the guy fucking bid? It's a no reserve. Just bid 12,000 then, if you want to scare off the other people. Bid 1,000 or 1,500 more than the previous bid. But just to do that, and then of course, so that's where it ends. 15,000. I want to hear more about that, how it closed out next time I talk with Ryan, or if we ever get this 4L person around. But is that I mean, I think it's a method of price discovery, how valuable it is for other people, looking on. Some people are like, I don't believe that's just bullshit audience and it's not the right type of name. But what do you think about price discovery? I guess what I'm getting at is learning price discovery through that method of a no reserve auction on, one of the only platforms that we have, one of the only forums. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I like it. I don't think uh I don't think you'll get as lucky as he did with XQO and that guy just coming along out of the blue very often. But as a buyer, I love it. If I was selling my stuff, I wouldn't like it so much.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it. I think. But you said, "Hey, that's great," and then I saw Ryan say, "Yeah, let's do it. You want to do it?" But yeah, not many will definitely have the
Yeah,
guts to do it.
I mean, I'm looking forward to the next one. If it's I mean, the XQO, I probably wouldn't even put, like, if it wasn't liquid for 10,000 or whatever, I wouldn't even pay 9 or 8 for it. Like, it's like, it has no value in my opinion. So names like that, I don't have much interest in. But I think he mentioned like Stargate.org and one or two other names. Like, if he puts those at $1 start, no reserve, I'll definitely bid.
I'm with you. That other name, I put my, I talk big. Like I'd pay 10 grand. Yeah, I was like, I'd pay less than 5,000 for it. Meaning, I to get a 3 letter for less than 5,000, I would do it and then hope that something those letters meant something later on. If they didn't mean something today, it's short, and I like short. But yeah, definitely different names, different attractiveness. Hey, Mike, thanks for joining us. What's going on?
Hey, not much. Just joining to raise awareness for the room. And yeah, I agree with Josh on the 3 letter. I think that 3 letters have cachet. People in the industry want to own one. And I don't know if it has any value at all. I wouldn't put it in my portfolio.
Yeah, it's definitely not, not just those letters, but XIQ obviously is big because then it has IQ, but XQO, right, is completely different. We understand that. Um, well, thanks for being here, Mike, and thanks, jump in when you can because I'm going to start riling some feathers. Before I get to Darcy, I want to go to Cabs, but Darcy, I'm glad you joined us too because I wanted to talk about raising five for a second. Hey, Cabs, what's up?
Hey, hello everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon. I have a question. When Josh was talking about exact match, and he did give an example with lawyer.com and something about lawyer.ai and said this would be, superb pretty much. My question is, so would you say maybe like lawyer.co or maybe .io, wouldn't have as much bites as maybe if it's not in .com or maybe .ai? And also, what would you say if we name something like, say, AlenaAutoAttorney.com or, or maybe .co, maybe .io? Would it, I mean, would a name like that has probably like, three, two words, only most likely go with .com, say, CaliforniaAutoAttorney.com? Would that only most likely go with .com or maybe it can also go with .net? Because recently on the GoDaddy auction, there was a name, I think it was AtlantaAttorney.net or something like that. I mean, nobody jumped on it. Anyways, so I just want to know, like, would those kind of name, most likely only go with .com? Or with, if it's a single word, can you also go with .co, maybe .io? Like you gave the example of lawyer, or would just, it's advisable to just, probably, bring it down to .com and .ai, looking at how .ai has been doing in the market. And also, I want to ask David a question. David put up a post. I don't know. I was asking David, are you selling your whole market portfolio, or you're selling the domain name Ultra Premium Domains? Like, what is it? You put up a post. I wanted to get clarity on
Yeah,
that.
I'm selling the website and the domain, ultrapremiumdomains.com, including 600 domains.
Okay, so it's everything. I thought you were selling just the name itself, the name of the name of the marketplace, just the
No,
domain.
I wrote in the post, yeah, plus 600 domains. I have repeat buyers, and it's all. I wrote it all down in the post. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay, so those are my two questions. So the first one is regarding the exact match domains that Josh was talking about, and I gave examples of if if the exact match is more than one word, would it just be advisable to to keep it with .com, or it can still go with .co or .io, or better still, if it's one word, can it go beyond .com and .ai? Pretty much, those are my questions. Thank you.
Yeah, good questions. Um, I wouldn't go beyond .com and .ai for, let's keep using the answer as using the example as lawyer. I think that that's probably an unpopular opinion. A lot of people will say that
Darcy, I saw a post that you put about, these companies, they'll fucking use raising.fi, but yet they won't even, spend money on a tier, But then, I get on domain investors, just like all of us do. It's like hating our own. But I mean, about many times as domain investors and people in the domain space, everybody want free tools, don't want to pay. Mike's got notify.domains. And if you're really tracking a name, and I got a success story I'm going to talk um, about acquiring a name. I didn't need to use notify.domains, but for $2 a month, we were about ready to if I didn't pick it up on a drop, but because we were, it was a single name. A client of ours was looking for this name. It was registered a year or two ago, and but bottom line is, domain investors historically they just want free tools. I talk to the guys at NameBio, and it's like people want to use the stuff, people don't want to pay. And then, but yet, Darcy, you were saying domain investors. There's some of your friends that will do a paid tier. Um, Tell us what you're seeing behind the scenes with raising Fi and who's using it, and where do you see it going from here? And then any comments, of course, you want to make about our topics. We get so little information sometimes on sales. Josh, how do you feel about name bio data? Do you question it quite a bit, or it's just such a small you take take what they give you, and you don't mortgage the house against it. It's not like you don't rely on it, but you just look at it. How confident are you in name bio data? Yeah, I seen Scraped. He took some of my Afternic sales that I only posted here on X and put it on there, and he's like, Todd wouldn't lie. Yeah. Yeah, that whole last part, fucking, you lost me. Hey, James, thanks for joining us. What's going on with you today? What comment do you have? Feel free to stay up here. Thanks, James, for always being around and supporting us too. Um, yeah, I think the rentals thing is good. I mean, I'm close to it because know what they know what they were planning to do before they did it, and now launching it. But I think just rentals is good, and naturally, if somebody, basically just clear on the agreement. So when you're working out a rental agreement with Adam, you as the if you're the renter, okay, you want to understand what rights do I have, and if you're the rentor, you're the I'm sorry, the rentor or the rentee. But anyway, you're the one who owns the name. You want to be clear on, all right, this person that's renting my name, they can't go crazy with it. They can't. I mean, there's certain things that you're not going to allow them to do because they're just renting the name. It really is like just renting an apartment, meaning, yeah, they can't re-rent it out to somebody else. They can't you can tell them, you can't have a meth lab in the place. So there's certain things that you can't do. But I think just in general, renting a name is good because um, I think people a lot of buyers are apt to do that as opposed to leasing a name and then having to break a lease because they feel like they have to break a lease. A renter can just stop it any time according to their agreement, which is pretty cool. But Josh, what do you think about renting domain names? There's still the option to buy a name in these rentals. So if you're looking at a name that Adam is renting, inquire about, yeah, so I'm renting it, which means it doesn't, the rent doesn't come off the buy it now price as like when you're leasing, you're making payment on that, lease to own, but you still have options to buy the name. I think, there's something to certainly look at there. It's just really look at the terms and decide, does renting this car, is this better for me than leasing this car? Well, I think a lot of us know sometimes for that
Renting a
car.
domain
Yeah.
renting a domain would be like renting a house, but then putting tons and tons of work into it, um, without the option of then being able to sell it. So it would be like me renting a house and then redoing all the backyard, adding, some um like renovating the interior, making it all like super nice and adding value to somebody else's property.
Almost, Josh, except that in renting it, Adam, you have a locked in opportunity to buy the domain name at the price that you started the rental at.
Yeah, which is actually more in line with a lease, not a rental.
Except the lease payments don't apply towards the principal of the property.
Right,
The rent
but
wasn't.
in a true lease, um, with a with a true FMV lease,
Correct. Lease,
uh,
not lease to own. Yes.
yeah, that's essentially what they're doing. They're calling it a rental, but what it is like it's just a true lease.
Yeah, straight lease. I agree with you there. But Josh, I would say I would compare it more to commercial property. You're trying to make this commercial property valuable. You're probably doing something to it, and but you realize if it's not working out, sometimes it is best just to get out. And but I do like Mike. You brought up, yeah, that buy it now price when you get into it. If you rent it for 2 or 3 years, and all of a sudden you realize, you know what, this was an industry that's taking off. I'm renting this name. Now they would like to sell the name for 350,000, but I can buy it for $150. So there can be some value there. Hey, Arif, thanks for joining. What comment did you have?
Hey guys, yeah, I think on the rental stuff. I mean, I pretty much what Josh says is how I feel. I don't think many people would even want that option, build something out and not have control of the domain. But I think this is probably more for the other side of things, getting people like maybe a Rick Schwartz to come in with some domains that are truly irreplaceable. That's where the it can kind of make sense that somebody would want to do it if there's a one word domain out there, right? That you really your business would thrive upon, like truly, get 10x engagement, whatever it is, and it's not available at all, right? And the owner says, "Oh, I don't want to really sell it, but I'll rent it, and then if the price is right, then maybe." And I think that's where there might be a little bit of movement. But otherwise, like I just don't see people buying or renting domains, building something up, and then not really having true. Or yeah, you have control over it in theory on paper, and you have some protections, but at the same time, it's like you don't actually own the domain. So I'm a little bit in line with what Josh said. I mean, back like I don't know 7 8 years ago, like I know you get frustrated when I talk about all the options we had back on Epic, but Epic did have a rental option, right? They had lease to own, they had all the stuff, they had like you could put a deposit on, you could have a lump sum at the end, they had all kinds of options. A rental was one of them, right? And it just I don't really know of anybody who had any rentals on there. Maybe there's one or two, but again, like you got to think what the end user wants, right? The end user, they want to have a plan to build out their business, and part of that includes not having to worry about the domain name, right? And be able to build something and not worry about losing it or some legal thing happening. And again, like there's protections there, but is it truly fail safe? No, I would never start a business on a domain I didn't actually have full control over.
Well, you're going to look at the agreement you're renting. How many businesses rent office space? So you're like, I'd never rent that. They could make me move, and they do after fucking 5 years or 10 years or 20 years of your restaurant space, and now they're like, you're in downtown, but this is expensive. So that's like saying I would never operate a business where I have to rent the property. All right, well, I mean,
But
it really is
yeah, but
equivalent to that. I mean, yeah.
yeah, but also with domains, there's technical things that make it more difficult to just move across the street, right? A restaurant, yeah, it's a pain in the butt to move across the street, but you can do it,
Total
right?
total opposite.
Whereas with
Yeah.
domains, you
It's
got
easy
there's a
to
lot of
deal with the
technical stuff
domain,
behind the scenes.
technical stuff. Moving a refrigerator is just harder than everything you'd have to do to move a domain name. So that just doesn't even make sense at all. It's saying that transferring a domain name is a lot more difficult than
Hey
transferring a
man,
refrigerator.
when GoDaddy scammed themselves out of the lifetime emails, and I had to change my emails from GoDaddy to Microsoft, that was a heck of a lot more nightmarish than moving a
You
fridge.
don't use
Like
AI. AI
by
will just do it
factor.
for you like that now.
Yeah, well,
I
we're talking 3 or 4 years ago now, but still.
yeah.
But you guys forgot Dan.com was doing this like 4 or 5 years ago already, and nobody was renting domains.
Yeah,
Nobody.
yeah, like
And
Epic before. Yeah.
people are smart today. They know they're better off spending 2 to 5 grand to acquire, the average domain. Nobody's gonna rent a domain, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, inventor.com, I believe their whole model was always renting names, and I think Howard um, out of Southern Florida, he rented it. But yeah, so a lot of them are coming off that, meaning, like Josh mentioned, it's more of a straight lease considered, and so why wouldn't people just lease to own? But anyway, whatever is um, there's going to be some attractive deals, especially if you're looking through a bunch of names in a like on Adam, and you're a company that says that's the exact name I want, and then it just happens to be from a owner that only will rent it to you. So then you try to figure out, how can I protect myself? How can I turn this into more? I mean, basically maintain rights to it while I'm using it. And it really is more, like I said, a straight lease. So you can start using it, and then okay, so the cost on this is 150,000, and I just, for whatever reasons, maybe it's funding that they want to begin as a renter instead of a lessee. All right, well, I mean, what a thanks, James. Interesting. I had it on the menu anyway. When I say menu, I meant
Yeah, and there's going to be some people who do it, right? I mean, look, at the end of the day, more than half the domains I sell are never built out, right? So yeah, that maybe that category of person, yeah, I'll rent it, and one day, and then they just stop their payments at some point because they realize they're never going to do it. But again, there's people who pay that rent over and over, or have we're talking going back to the domain tools, right? I have a couple of domain tools that I'm paying over and over again for years, and a couple of them I don't really use. Like Estabot I used a lot back in days when I was doing Name Cult and going through names every single day, and the data I like from there. I haven't really done that in years, and I'm still paying for Estabot. So it is what it is.
Yeah, James, what follow-up did you have?
Yeah, thanks, Todd. Yeah, I was thinking of a couple of different scenarios where perhaps a small business owner that is trying out a new business doesn't really quite know if it's going to be successful yet. Perhaps they just rent the name for 6 months to see if their business is going to take off. And if it doesn't, they've lost a few $100s. If it does, they can buy the name outright. So I thought that might be one scenario. And then the other scenario might be having to do with cash flow. If someone, knows they're going to be coming into some money in the next couple of months and sees the name and they want to grab it, they can rent it for a couple of months, and then they have the option to buy it when their cash flow improves. And then I just have one other question I'd like to get your guys' opinion on, and that is, what are the negatives as far as maybe a scammer renting a name, and then they they ruin the name, with some type of scammy operation, and then you get the name back and you have to deal with that. Is that, and that was something I thought might happen with LTOs when they came out, but I haven't really heard anything from anybody about, any bad experiences. But I'm just, what do you think the chances of something like that are, and do you think that'll deter people from doing it? Thank you.
I have some experience with that. A few years ago, I bought a gambling-related domain, and it was blacklisted in certain countries. So I don't think if you're going to lease out, Miami plumbers, a plumber is going to do anything crazy or fishy, by crazy backlinks. Only categories different, gambling or adult. They'll buy like a shitload of backlinks, get on the first page, do a quick hit and run, and then your domain could be blocked. But like a just only specific niche. That's what I think you have to be careful about. The broad niche, I don't think, like I said, a plumber or a lawyer is going to do anything bad with your domain.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree with David. Also, it's the context of the site matters, like the type of business. But for the most part, it's certainly something to worry about, and there certainly are ways that it could happen. But I think as we've seen over the years with the LTO becoming more and more popular, we don't hear of these stories much that there are problems with it. It's not that it's zero, and there's always a chance. But I think as time has moved on, I think we've seen that LTO is a viable mechanism of making some money from your domains, and we don't hear those horror stories that we're all expecting, at least not in any volumes to be concerned about. Obviously, as David said, if you're looking at adult and gambling, you want to be careful, because a lot of times these people have a lot of websites, so they kind of burn and churn, right? So they're not in it for that domain in the long term, but sometimes they are, right? Really depends on the business plan, but the likelihood is a little bit more in those industries. You just got to be careful, but for the most part, I don't think it's a again, the LTO kind of proved us that it's that nightmare scenario just didn't happen in numbers that people were thinking or fearing.
I think more important is how much money do you have invested in that domain. I'll give you an example. I just completed last month a 12-month LTO. Somebody bought a domain for me for $3,888. It was a gambling domain. So they did complete the 12 months, but again, it was a hemorrhage out of my portfolio, the same portfolio that I'm selling right now. It was a hemorrhage. I paid $10, sold it for $3,880. So I'm like, I don't care. They can blacklist it, do whatever they want. After the first payment, I was already profitable. So it all depends how much money you have invested in the asset as well.
Fraudsters.
Can I just? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Todd.
Fraudsters, spammers, and DNS abusers normally are going to spend a low amount. They're not going to enter into a lease. And then when we do hear about these very rare occurrences when someone has leased out a name and it gets abused, then they scream from the top of the fucking mountains. And then it's like, geez, yeah, you got to be careful with those. But it is very few and far between. Josh, have you experienced any that with your own portfolio, any DNS abusers, or have you heard of anything that made you think, yeah, I really need to, think more about this, or is it just very scarce?
It's never been anything that I've worried about.
Yeah, James, what did you want to say?
I just wanted to add one more thing. Oh God, I just lost my train of thought. Hold on. Adam currently has the settings for the rental program on a global scale. So you have to globally enable it for your premium and your plus listings. Don't you think it would be a better idea if it could be done on a case-by-case basis on individual names?
I don't want to say about Adam. Now, what was the feature again? They do what on?
It on the rental program, you have to enable that globally across your whole portfolio, your premium portfolio or ultra premium if you have that, and your plus names. So you don't have the opportunity to exclude any names at this point in your portfolio, which I think might be more comfortable for people if they could just pick and choose the names that they want to put the rental option on.
Sure.
How do they do that? Is it a percentage, or do you get to set the rental amount per month, or?
No, the rental amount is based on the buy it now price you have, and I think if it's over 5,000, it's one amount, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But if it's below 5,000, it's $100 a month.
Oh, okay.
Rentals are interesting.
Okay.
Yeah,
If your rental price
And
was
then
1/3 or 1/4 of what a lease would be, then I can understand people saying, okay, I want to look at that option. But yeah, James, definitely need to allow it, do it on an individual basis. Makes a lot more sense.
So then on the lander, where you have like the buy it now and LTO and rental options type of thing.
Yes. The rental will show up right below the LTO, and it'll say $100. Based on whatever your buy it now price is. And I was also thinking that if you're going to rent some of these and give people the option to buy it later, you might want to just reevaluate your pricing based on obviously how good the name is, what you have it currently listed for. Just so you're not getting, like Todd mentioned earlier, if an industry really takes off, you're not, kicking yourself for not having the right pricing if that person decides to buy it.
Yeah, that's the one thing like with Afternic I don't like about the LTO is you can't charge a little bit higher overall, right? Like when I'm in negotiations with a buyer, oftentimes, well, especially back in the days when I was getting more direct and not my stuff wasn't totally priced on Afternic, I deal with people directly, and it was kind of funny because I would say this is the price, let's say I don't know $5,000, right? And then they say no, it's too much. Then I'd basically call their bluff, right? I'd use LTO. And I'd go, okay, yeah, but the LTO would be like maybe $250 over 2 years, right? So it'd be like $6,000 over. So like it wouldn't be the same price, right? And that's why I liked it when in direct negotiations you can do that because you have total control because you're just emailing them or talking to them over a platform, whatever it is. But when you're an Afternic, you're kind of stuck with the same overall number. So, it's not really a tool that I find as practical as it could be.
How do you, if I told somebody make a comment under this room, where do they do that on this space? I mean, I've only done this for 6 years. I have no idea what
Yeah, it's funny you asked that, Todd. I was looking to do that earlier and I couldn't find it either.
Like if I wanted to say somebody if you don't want to come up here, because I want to hear what topic would you like for us to touch on. Nothing's off limits, and let us know or put a comment below the room. So anyway, somebody figure out how to leave a comment below the room, and then share it with the rest of us, please.
I think it's only in the post. In the post that you announced the space, you can comment there, and then you can look at it.
Sure, and I wonder if it's got to be in the true. I'm sure I can
Yeah,
do it there. I'll try to make a post. But
it's not very efficient. Yeah, they're like the chat for spaces isn't very efficient, unfortunately.
yeah, Josh, what do you think? AI.exchange 100,000 sold through Afternic, is that you know the power of AI, right? It just happened to be an extension that makes sense. But what do you think? I mean, who do you give a shit? I mean, AI exchange make you think AI dot solutions is good. AI dot I don't know. Is that a good price for
Yeah,
AI exchange?
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a great price. Am I surprised by it? No. Do I think it's a good name? No. Um, you know, don't forget, like, when everyone was obsessed about Ethereum, you had names like ETH dot Paris selling for 50 grand and ETH dot Club selling for 150 grand. So ai.exchange falls into that category.
Yeah, when you say good price, you mean for the seller, right?
For the seller. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Only if a company spent a lot of money marketing that and saying we're AI dot exchange, and they'd really have to let people know dot exchange. It's dot exchange because that is a weird one. So long to the right of the dot, people aren't used to that. They're used to CCTLDs because a lot of people use them in their own countries. I mean, much more than obviously a dot exchange. So you'd have to know, is that real? So the marketing they'd have to do, and then it'd look cool. It's like we're AI exchange. I don't know what an AI exchange would do, but just to think of, training everybody, all your customers, everybody that deals with you that, yeah, it's not AIexchange.com. But matter of fact, while you guys are sitting there, make you wait, AIexchange.com.
I didn't even know there was a dot exchange until you mentioned it.
It's probably owned by a domainer. Yeah, AI Exchange is a good GoDaddy. More often than not, you look for something. This has got a me. It's only we only know it's normal. Okay, and they're asking $56,000 for AIexchange.com, and that guy bought AI.exchange for 100,000. I don't know. It doesn't even make sense. But we know domain owners. They're not. I don't know. Squatting can be a word that's not necessarily a bad word, meaning sometimes you're allowed to reserve seats and buy tickets. So you buy a bunch of tickets and you're like, dang, I knew everybody wanted to go to the World Cup and I got some great seats. And now you want to sell half of your tickets. You're going to take your family, but you want to sell half the tickets to make your money back. Well, I think that's okay. But the point is, so, domain, you go to a name and we know all the time. Some people think, oh, that's what's for sale. But we always know it's a domain investor. They just mop up shit. Okay. I say squatter because I wanted to bring up this next example. And that was, I guess, I didn't read the story too much. I got it at a link on our website, DNXShow.com. By the way, I let DNX.show expire. Okay, because we're DNX Show. We're DNL Show. We're DNX Show. It's just easier, and you don't carry along a bunch of shit defensively in case somebody wants silly. So um, it's really more for the domain name law show. But Visa came out with something. I have no idea what it was, but it's called the Visa CLI. Okay, so they came out with this product. Let me take a look. I'll try to find out what it was. I don't even Visa CLI. Anyway, it's a product, but anyway, a domainer immediately said Visa CLI. They went ahead and registered it, and I guess it was Visa filed a UDRP and transferred the name away because the guy bought it and then priced it at 50,000. Well, when it's something so unique like that, Visa CLI, I can't imagine there's really, it's not like uh, Visa to anywhere, where you're using Visa as the other term Visa, or unless I'm missing something and CLI could mean something with regards to travel, but it's so unique and so, um, I don't know, I wouldn't call it fanciful, but really just basically it's something that only Visa would be interested in. So you buy it, you register it Visa CLI, then you price it at 50,000, and then you get a UDRP and you lose it. Well, that's anyway, in my opinion, is and I don't even say usually I act like it's factual. In my opinion, obviously, this was just somebody trying to squat, trying to make money off of Visa, and they probably wouldn't even have bought it for 5,000 or 1,000. We said many times companies will not even they'd rather file a UDRP and spend the money than pay you 500. We've seen that 500 for a name. I saw one the other day. The guy was offering it for 500 bucks, and they decided to file UDRP instead of giving him 500. So this was just a case of cyber squatting. Somebody, a domain investor. So I mean, I don't know. I bring it up, Josh. Let me ask you. So that's the I think it was Barman said, yeah, that guy's an idiot. He's a loser. Most domain investors would know not to do something like that. And I don't know if it gives us a bad look. It just shows that some people are constantly losers. But do you agree with Barr, Josh, that yeah, most domain investors know not to do something so ridiculous, and it's not a domain investing strategy. It's just basically basically it's just cyber squatting in the raw sense. I don't know. Any comments?
Yeah, I mean, I I agree. It's cyber squatting. It's as simple as that, really. It's not something I'm interested in.
Yeah, I mean, if you hear somebody say a term or a phrase on TV or online and it's generic like a new saying, okay, well, and sometimes there are new things that you hear and you check real fast. Matter of fact, I heard somebody say a pretty interesting phrase in a space here on X the other day, and it was about and I checked it and it was available. And then I heard another one with intelligent in it that really makes sense. Two words, intelligent plus another word, and it's a long second word too, not no longer than intelligent, but makes a lot of sense, and it's available. Well, Josh, what do you think of the word intelligent as opposed to intelligence? I mean, do you have some with just the T, intelligent?
Yeah, not something I'm interested in. I mean, yeah, it doesn't work the way that I would want it to work.
Okay, because smart can be used for intelligent more than intelligence. But okay, so but you have several that have
Intelligent,
intelligence.
intelligent is a prefix. Intelligence is a suffix.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Also, the prefix sometimes people use intelli, but then it's like one L, two L's. It's supposed to be two L's, but that's when it gets a little bit too many options. Intelligence at the end, it's has a much stronger meaning. I think Josh invests in those types of domains for a reason, right? The usage is just a lot more what people expect, in terms of the wording. It's much stronger.
Yeah, James, what's up? You can just chime in. What's going on?
Hey, Todd, thanks for having me again. I just wanted to circle back on the rental because I got the information about the pricing. I couldn't remember what it was over 5,000, but the way they stated is the monthly rental fee is 2% of the domain's buy it now price per month for domains priced at $5,000 or above, and $100 per month for domains priced below 5,000. The monthly rental fee will increase by 5% on each annual anniversary of the rental start date.
Geez, so $50,000 name, you got to pay $1,000 a month, I guess. doesn't seem really cheap.
Yeah, I was now that I went back and read it, I was a little shocked by that.
Yeah, because
Well,
3 grand a month for 100,000. Of course, it's less than an LTO. We know that because with 50-month lease, we know the whole math. But still, I would think it need to be less than 50% of a lease price for it to be, to be attractive enough to get people to think I do have to consider this. I mean, I'm just thinking.
at
Correct.
the same time, it's like for the domain owner side, I mean, it's still 4 years, well, 4 years and 2 months, right? For 50 months. So there is risk there. So it can't be too low. I don't know. Again, like I don't think it's really going to catch on too much, but you never know. Again, if it's an irreplaceable domain that like you must have, and the LTO option isn't there, and the rental option is, then there are some cases I think for a very minute fraction of domains where it could make sense. But for your common bread and butter domain, like most of my portfolio, most people's portfolios, I just don't think it makes any sense.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few things that Adam has rolled out over the years here that haven't really caught on or haven't really made any difference to my portfolio. So I'm holding out hope for this, but I'm not hanging my
Well,
hat on it for sure.
maybe the whole point is to attract people like Rick Schwartz with those domains that people didn't want to bring in initially, right? So there might be other reasons for this that's not quite as obvious as we think. Because look, at first, they were dealing mostly with bread and butter domains, and then they got all these what do they call it again? They're the super like top notch ones with Sapphire, whatever it is, and they're making good money off of that, right? You don't need as much volume, but when you're selling domains in the 6 and 7 figures, hey man, like it's still money and it's still good money. So maybe it's more towards that they're really looking at.
Maybe. So you're saying they're trying to
Thanks,
attract
Sarah.
these big time domain investors with the big portfolios, and Rick's one of them means to be able to um, attract their portfolios by allowing to those guys can offer rentals now. They don't need to do it through that platform. Let me ask Josh. I wanted to ask you. We're going for 30 more minutes today. If anybody wants to come up here, come on. So we're going for 30 more minutes. But any good news you can share with us over this last couple weeks, Josh? Like basically a good acquisition, a nice sale, or it doesn't have to be an expensive sale, but one that you were glad that, move them on out of the portfolio, but anything positive?
Um, I mean, yeah, I sold a domain. I think I mentioned it last week. I sold. It's on an LTO, so I'm not gonna say the exact name. It's a CCTLD. And I sold for 100,000. That I was on a 30-month payment plan, so that was cool. That was last week. It was a name that I picked up about a year ago for 5. Not a CCTLD that I would normally invest in. So, um, I've only got one of them in my portfolio actually. So, if you know me well, you could probably figure it out. And I'm in escrow right now for .ai that Loomis reached out to me about yesterday. They reached out yesterday and we came to an agreement like 3 hours later. So that was quick. That's in escrow. Once it's closed, I'll probably maybe I can talk about it next week.
So
Well, hopefully, congrats.
3 grand to 3 grand to 3,500 bucks a month is what that lease pays, right? Is that about right for $100,000 30 month?
Yeah, 30. It's I'll tell you exactly what it is. 30 months, and it's paying me $3,166 a month.
Nice.
Pays for the car per month.
That's it.
Hey, that expensive
And
stuff.
pickleball rackets.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
you don't smoke, but when you were talking earlier, when you go, that's a good question. I was thinking it'd be nice to have you on video smoking, going, smoking? Yeah, that's a pretty good question. Fucking domain investors.
LTO, to be fair, LTO has been a game changer for me. I think I've got now I'm now up to over $25,000 a month in LTO payments. And I only started LTO a year and a half ago.
Is your default still 13 months?
No, it ranges from 6 months to 20 months. This one is on 30 just because it was a negotiated deal.
Yeah.
But
Is that based on price?
Yeah, based on price. I think everything under 3 is 6 months. Then from like 3 to 10 is 14, maybe 14 months, and then 10 plus is 20 months.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was planning on doing something similar myself next time I uploaded my my prices, because like the lower ones doesn't make sense to go much more than 6 or 8, whatever it is, and then but the higher ones, obviously there's incentive to bring that price down a bit for potential buyers. So yeah, good strategy.
Renee said,
Yeah, I mean for me, like a few $100, less than a few $100 a month in an LTO payment, it just doesn't really move the needle enough for me.
those are the kind
Yeah,
that sucks. And then they cancel. But I mean, okay, so you said game changer, and it is for a lot of people, Josh. That's a lot of money per month coming. This much, for
Yeah,
some.
I thought that was me, but I guess
Might
it was
be better.
Todd.
Renee said it was a big game changer for him too. Basically, yeah, he's trying to grow his
Todd,
portfolio.
we lost Todd, we lost the last 30 seconds or so of you. You went dark. You just came back.
Yeah. Anyway,
We can hear you now.
game changer about the domains, about leasing. And Renee was saying that it really has made him want to grow his portfolio. That's the younger guy. That he's not too young, but anyway, growing up to 12,000 names now, and he's on his way to 100,000. He's like focused on getting 100,000 names in a portfolio. And he said flat out, if it wasn't for lease to own, it wasn't for these monthly lease payments, he wouldn't even, wouldn't continue on the way he's doing it. But boy, it really is attractive. I think that's the most attractive thing that we talk about here. That if someone was listening, and I think, geez, you can get these domain names, you can offer them for lease, and then it takes a while to build up. But boy, it's like a dream to get that kind of income. First, just to get 4 figures a month, let alone 5 figures, and then you start getting up into mid 5 figures income from domain leases. And then we know if someone defaults, you get the name back, and that's not always super attractive, but it's really easy. And it happened to me a few months back, and boy, there's nothing faster than you got the name back. It's not like, hey, when am I going to get that? I've had other things where I've had to wait months. Somebody
Well,
defaults.
at a certain point with volume, it becomes a numbers game, right? Like, I mean, for Renee, I mean, he's doing pretty good. But I mean, like when your LTO, revenue overtakes your renewal revenue, right? And your renewals are pretty stable, and you can see that going. The payments are as such that it's more than a year ahead or year and a half ahead. That you're gonna get more than your renewals. Hey, we'll just keep on going, right? You can't go wrong. And then the one-off sales pay for themselves. I'm the opposite. All my stuff is set to 6 months, which I'm getting ready to change. Like my sales are much more than my LTOs, but the LTOs are nice, right? And I will be switching for that reason, just because I haven't gotten around to it yet. I want to do what Josh is doing and tier them off, right? 6 months for below a certain thing, and then up to a certain point will be a little bit higher. But yeah, no, I mean when for me that big switch was many years ago when my sales started to overtake my costs, right? And then it's like, oh wow, I could really go full throttle with this. Obviously, you always still need to be careful to a certain extent, but when you don't have to worry about am I going to be able to afford my renewals, the whole your whole game changes. The business becomes completely different. I mean, on paper, it's still numbers, but the confidence that you have, you really take that to the next level. You start buying a little bit, more efficiently, and you get a little bit more confidence when you're dealing in negotiations, and it really, things fall into place. So it's a fun place to be when, especially for Josh. Congrats on that. If you're at 25K a month, like that's amazing place to be, because I know that far exceeds your renewals. So congrats on that.
Thanks, dude.
I wanted to bring up a contest. You can go to our outline, DNXShow.com. Check it out. But there's a colleague and a friend. His name's Jeff Garbett. He runs a company called Prime Loyalty, but he basically changed the name a year or two ago to URLs.com. URLs.com. Now he's a broker, buy side, sell side, but he's a great negotiator in my opinion. And he's having a contest. If you've lost a name, say you were, like I said, you were trying to buy it at auction, but you got distracted at the end and you missed out on your dream name, or someone stole it from you, or you were in negotiations to buy it and then the deal didn't close, or just how did you lose this great name? But anyway, he's having a contest where he's going to give away a lot of prizes. One of the prizes is $500. All you have to do is tell your story. There's no fee to join or anything like that. He's just looking for interesting stories, and he's promoting his website, urls.com. But the actual page that talks about the contest, I have a link on our outline at dnxshow.com. Go down to our outline and you'll see it. But it's urls.com/lost-domain-contest. So anyway, check it out. I mean, if you we all have stories of, dang, I wish I would have got that name and I didn't pick it up, and then later on my friend had it. Now he's offering it for $100,000. But yeah, check that out. The link's on our website, and I just thought it was a cool contest. And I know there's tons of prizes. I mean, he's giving away a bunch of stuff. So, geez, 5-10 people are going to win prizes just for their story. Let me see what else I had on there. I always, do like everybody else. Look at this name. I thought sucked, and I thought really sucked. And it says it sold at GoDaddy today for $13,750, and it's smartcarrot.com. Okay, but it's not smart carrot, spelled like the diamond or spelled like the vegetable. It's smart carrot, Karrot. So it's combined both. It's just silly. So
Isn't that the term for gold though?
no,
Like carat, like 24 carat. Isn't it that how you spell it for gold?
no. I mean, when you spell it for gold, let me double check. It's Karrat, I'm sure, but I'm like stoned. I'm not stoned. I don't anything like that. But my computer's slow. That's why there was a break. But yeah, Karrat. Yeah, I'm smart enough to know. I mean,
Oh, this one had it was smart with two. Yeah, wow,
so
that's
no,
how much?
two
What you
R's
said?
and an OT. It's like carrot with the carrot, the vegetable, with a K instead. So
That's it's a typo brandable or misdirect, misspell.
and plus I don't know, but backlink, some reason there's always something there. I'm not gonna even ask you, Josh, what do you think about there? But lost my. There was a 4-letter KDBL that sold for 6,000 on Afternic. Now that looks like one of those where somebody posted it and they just saw that there was a post, because I don't know, unless somebody sent in a screenshot. But that's an example what I call a triple premium. The K is not considered an American premium. Of course, at the beginning it's better than I think usually at the end. But KDBL, that's the kind of name that like retail, they said 6,000 and it's sold. The guy might have had it for 20 years, but that's the kind of name you can pick up for 200 to 400 likely when it goes to auction. And I think those are names, basically worth, doing exactly that for. I believe if the guy would have priced it at 3,000, it probably would have been even a a faster sell. I noticed that when I do that with any of the 4 letter I have, as soon as I price less than 5,000, then people know. Okay, I mean, there's people that watch shorter ones, but outside of that, I was looking. Blog GG sold for $5,773. That was today. I was looking through, just was trying to find. I was trying to find that it was from yesterday, that the ai.exchange. But Josh, do you own any .gg names?
Yeah, I own maybe 50 or 60.
Like $50 renewal for those. What is the renewal?
Yeah, $50. Yeah.
$30.
No, 50, 50.
Most of the things are .com. The sales. I was trying to see if what other extensions. There's a .org that doesn't make sense. KGH Visa. I can't even. This doesn't even make sense. KGV KGH Visa KHAPATNAM.org. Sounds good, huh? 3,150. We're only going here for another 15 minutes, but there was some name that was.
Did
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, did anybody buy anything from the GoDaddy premium option, or what do they call it there, for their special auction, event auction, the last couple of days?
I didn't. Josh,
The starting bids were crazy on some of those.
Yeah, I usually don't pay attention to them, but I actually I actually got 3 this time around. That's the first 3 I got from those auctions, but there were 3 of the 5 names out of the 2,500 that I was actually looking at that were yeah, okay, if it doesn't go up too high, I might get these. And yeah, I was surprised. I spent the most I ever spent on a single investment level domain yesterday. Kind of weird.
Well, how much?
Not
How many did you
a
buy?
super high amount, but
300, 600. What did you pay for those names?
no, I got one. So I got 3 domains. I'll tell you 2 of them, and the total of the 3 was about $2.5 grand total. The highest one was amazinginsurance.com, which it's insurance name. I like amazing is a pretty good keyword. The other one was moneyline.net, which is a really, really common gambling term. And gambling, I've sold a couple of domains with .net, so I'm happy with that purchase too.
Yeah, no doubt about
The
money.
DUI attorneys sell?
Pardon me?
Yeah, I saw DUI attorney or attorneys.
I don't know. I saw a few of them, but most of them were way out of my range. I mean, I just don't. I'm still, this is one of the very few domains I ever bought, and the very low 4 figures is one of them. The rest is 3 figures, and I'm actually doing well with those. But I haven't been in it for too long with those. Usually, you guys know I was priding myself in being the cheapest domainer out there for the longest time, with mostly $5 and $11 closeouts over the years. But I don't think I can qualify to use that term anymore, as I'm creeping up and buying domains with a little bit more value.
Bracelet.com was a good one. I don't know if that one sold.
Have you changed anything on your spreadsheet? Well, hold on. Let me say hello to Larry and see what he's doing. Hey, Larry, what's up?
Hi, everybody. I just want to say again, thank you, Todd and Josh, for the space. Always, I believe, the most informative domain show on any platform. Just want to let people know, in case you don't, that Spaceship, if you have names there, now allows you to make a portfolio and create a portfolio link and a name, and then people can look at everything you have. I went through that yesterday, and it's a little bit funky at the moment still. There's some things that they need to improve, like a link to click on to see our landing pages that we have there, which are generic anyway. But maybe you can someday, if they keep working on it, we'll be able to do stuff like we do on Adam. So if you have stuff at Spaceship, you can get to work and put everything together.
Now, Spaceship doesn't make you have to have them at Spaceship, right? Can we list a portfolio if their names are all over the place?
I'm assuming that since you'd have to change the name service, get it approved, and then and then do it. It's a little bit more of a process, but I fortunately enough have all my names at Spaceship. I'm out of GoDaddy totally.
Okay, so if you have to change the name servers, they probably allow them to be at other places as long as you change your name. I like the idea of saying, like here on X, hey, I'm selling this portfolio of 45 names or 50 names. Here they are, right here on X. You can see them. If you want to buy them, go to Spaceship, and here's the terms, and the fees. But I like, you promote your own thing. But I mean, there's domain investors. I'm sure there's going to be tons of portfolios where people are like, I'm not going to keep going through these portfolios. People want to see. Tell me the top 10 or 20 names out of this portfolio so I know if I want to look at them, what you think. And we all know ourselves what our top 20, 30 names are. And if you don't, then what I would recommend is then you could use the GoDaddy tool to say, hey, um, which ones do you think are the most valuable? And then you can always say, hey, I'm offering this portfolio of 50 names. GoDaddy has these 10 appraised at the highest value. You don't have to say the value, but here's what they're appraised at the highest of this, and then it gives people ideas, so we don't have to go through the bullshit of going, do you have anything worthwhile there? And then if GoDaddy says it's worth 9,000, at least I know that's different than when GoDaddy says it's worth 1,500. Usually they have some pretty good names that they say are worth 8,000, 9,000, 12,000 names that those are the kind that I think, yeah, that one really is worth closer to 20 or 30 grand. They got it priced at 8 grand, and that's for us to bring our experience and expertise in and say, I think, I understand why GoDaddy believes that name is, somewhat valuable. But anyway, thanks for sharing that, Larry. I want to try some new things with regards to selling my names. I got things priced, I think, okay. You can check out most all my names at afternic.com/ABC Productions. No one, you know, anybody, I know other people's usernames in here. I can see their stuff on Afternic too. And most of it's like, no one had, we see, you could look at mine and think, okay, I can see why you're not selling them. Some of them are overpriced and most of them suck. But um, as you wait around as a domain investor, you got to be patient, and many times you'll sell names that you think, um, geez, I have better names at better prices. Why'd they pick up this random one? Before we go, we're going to be here another 10, 15 minutes. But Josh, when I noticed you were selling some high price names, but I mean, and you said Loomis contacted you, well-known brokerage outfit. Do you find like in your portfolio, even though you have, say, 10, you were mentioning before, maybe 10% of the names are part of this section that you consider your high value, these 90% of the rest of your names, is it I'm thinking like a teeter-totter here. Is it even, do you sell a lot of names out of the, your 90%, the random, not your high value names, um, as frequently as as the inquiries you get on the high name, on the value names? Because sometimes I think to myself, geez, this person invests in only a small percentage of these high value names, but that's where a lot of the activity and the interest and the inquiries come from. And then the rest, I consider you playing like the rest of us, and that is you have these names. I think you're a better selector than most people, but do you find that do you sell quite a bit out of your portfolio that's under 5,000? Have you seen it? Under 5,000 in your buy it now pricing. Is that fallen off for you? Is that maintained, or has that increased for you? Your portfolio that's offered for under 5,000 a piece. Yeah, there's no way he caught that question. Did you hear me? Radio check.
I hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Breaker 19. Radio check.
I heard you too, Todd.
Yeah, and I think Josh is probably like, this is ridiculous. But yeah, thanks, Larry, for always
Hey,
being here, and everybody for supporting all the time. We come in, it's like a running club. Some days we're going on a run. It doesn't matter. We still show up. We're going to be here next week. You want to be here next week because Josh said he may have some sales that closed, and that's really firsthand hearing. Here's what I bought it for. Here's what I sold it for. We roughly know how many names in the portfolio. We watched that's, even though it's just a one name and it's a snapshot, that's the valuable stuff that we get from rooms like this. And we do also get it from Domain Sherpa. um, that's why I like when they talk about the, play the domain game, you get something out of it. Josh, are you there? It looks like he's off mute, but
He's off making another $100,000 deal.
yeah. Hey, Arif, so have you changed your spreadsheet over the years? You keep track of everything that you've spent since you've been in domain investing, correct?
More or less, because I don't really track the individual transactions. I average it out. Like right now, my .com, I put .coms at $10 average, and so if in my spreadsheet it says I had it for 6 years, then my cost is like $60 plus the acquisition price. But I don't really look at that at all. Like for me, I don't look at the individual cost per domain. For me, it's an annual thing, right? Because it's my sell-through rate is an annual thing. My sales are annual, and so I really look at year over year. And every year, I consider my domains, especially since most of them are bread and butter, right, as a fresh start, right? And that's like, is this domain worthy to stay in my portfolio? That's why when I started off, like waiting till the last minute to renew domains was actually a benefit for me, because it would be like that rush at the last minute. Do I keep it or don't I? Right? It's really on the edge. Like nowadays, like I'm I'm way ahead. I'm currently renewing domains for September, right? And in a certain sense, it's a little bit easier that way, a little bit less stress because I'm doing much better, than the first couple of years. But it's really a way that I look at it year by year. I understand people who deal in 5 and 6 and 7 figure domains. It's a different approach, right? It's your annual holding cost is really pretty much zero compared to your sales and your acquisition prices. So the math is very different. But for me, this is what's worked, and I've been profitable, I think, for at least 6 or 7 years. It's been at least 6 years, possibly 7. By I know the first year I wasn't profitable. Second year, I don't think I was. Third year I was probably breaking even. I don't know whether it was a little bit in the black or the red, but it was, by the third year I kind of knew, yeah, this is my thing. So 2 full years and then a little bit more. But yeah, I'm still happy I made that little jump to really be a little bit more. Can't say full time because it's still not full time for me, but more serious about it.
Hey, Josh, are you there? I saw something come up because I wanted to ask him if he got a pretty good grasp on the amount that he spent since he's started domain investing. Some of us keep track pretty good. Are you there, Josh? I see something flashing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so you got a sandwich. We're only going for 5 more minutes. Hey, so do you have a pretty good grasp on how much you've spent in domain investing since you started?
Yeah, I do. Well, I have a good idea of how much I've spent on what I have left.
How much you've spent on your existing portfolio? So once you've let things drop, or what do you mean by that?
I mean, I don't know what I've spent from the time that I started investing in domains. I could find out, but that's not a number that I actively track. The only number I track is what my current inventory, what I spent on my current inventory.
I can understand that. Now I think about it, my spreadsheet doesn't include, I need to look at my spreadsheet and my taxes for the last 20 years of saying, okay, total expenses related to domain investing. Basically, all I'm saying is domain costs, registrations, and purchases, and then renewals. So really, that's it. Money spent. Don't count money spent on, you know, hosting services for as a domain investing expense, or you know, I guess if you wanted to market a name because you have it for sale, that's really closer to an expense that's related to domain investing. But anyway, I think you know, if you're somebody new at doing it and you've only been doing it a couple years, you can easily go back and almost get up to speed on all your expenses. And then from here going forward, it is important. The easiest way is really just at the end of each year, it depends on if you're using, most of us have to use credit cards to pay for, um, I guess you use debit cards or crypto, but to pay for your expenses. But you got um, some um, tracking. Basically, you can see your expenses each year, and because it does you know, gets lost. And, it's not. So people don't. Most of the time, when you ask anybody, Arif knows this. You ask people, "Do you track all your gambling losses?" No, no one. Only the smart people do and keep records of them if they can. So if they
The,
ever have a big hit, they can write against
smart
it.
people don't stay when losses are that big. So kind of oxymoron there.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Josh, I have a question for you. You've been in it for, I guess, about a little bit, a year or two longer than I have, about 10 years now, I guess. How aggressive have you been over the years with dropping names? Like, have you ever dropped 10% of your portfolio in any given year, type of thing? Or
No, I've never dropped that much. I would say the um last 2 to 3 years I've dropped more than I've ever dropped before, but that's still maybe 2 years ago I probably dropped a couple hundred names, but nothing really more than that.
yeah, that's good. Good to know. Especially over the years, if you've kept a lot of the ones you originally got, that means it's you started off strong. It's a good indication. For me, last year I dropped about 400, but like that was sorry about that. I just got a call, but that was like the first time in maybe 5 years that I dropped more than a dozen domains, type of thing. So it was a little bit overdue, and just relook at my portfolio a little bit, but felt good. But at the same time, it's like, oh yeah, I kept most of them. So
Yeah, there's probably more that I could drop. There's probably 500 names in my portfolio that I could drop, but yeah, I don't know. They probably track around break even, I would say.
yeah, that's the same thing too over the years. Like the ones I go, oh, I should probably drop that one. There's always a multiple sales within a year. That's like I get one here, one there. I'm like, geez, why do we even bother? Like the bottom of my barrel is good enough to maybe at least break even, and the top of my barrel is really good. But I felt good last year when I did trim a little bit, because there was some stuff in there that was like, yeah, that was kind of dead weight, and
Yeah.
but we'll
Yeah. Yeah, I dropped like here and there. I dropped some stuff, and I'm just like, I can't. I don't even want to look at it anymore. But I have a lot of, I how I know that there's some stuff in there that I should drop is that a lot of the stuff that I sell is stuff that I bought more recently. Um, a lot of the stuff that's been sitting in my portfolio for a long time doesn't tend to move.
I'm going to write that down. I want to talk about that next week. Selling stuff that you bought in the last year or two, and anyway, that's interesting because then people think I can do it too. Before we shut down, we're going to wrap it up in a second. Two things. I got one last question for Josh, and I want to talk about. It's only going to take me 10 seconds. A success story. Yeah, so I had a client, a legal client that was like, you know, I operates a lot of big companies. It's an equity firm that owns big companies, and he wanted to buy a name for one of the companies, and it was registered, and he's like, can we get this name? And I'm like, let me see. And it expired in March, and I said, okay, so it's dropping. We kept, couldn't put in drop orders. Finally could put in some drop orders, and I got it for 59 bucks. Put in a drop order at NameJet for 79, at Dropcatch for 59, and Dropcatch caught it for us, $59, and he was going to spend, healthy amount on it. He was willing to go, and it was a two-word. I'll mention it sometime, but we just got it now. It's forwarded to one of their businesses. But boy, how lucky! I was about ready to um, subscribe to Mike's service at notify.domains to say, help us keep track of this. Anyway, the name was registered a year or two ago. The person, or company, dropped it. Just lucky, right when the gentleman asked me to investigate about this. I said it looked like it dropped 45 days ago, 60 days ago, and I'm having trouble hitting drop yet, but I'm gonna, focus on this thing and try to get it finally. So no competition on a name that I thought for certain was gonna have at least another, uh, you know, person interested in it. But anyway, so what a nice success story for a client that's a big client anyway. But for them to think, hey, I told them we got this thing for $59, can't even, and then it's for a pretty interesting, important usage on his side. So of course thrilled. Okay, so last question, and we're going to wrap it up for today. Matter of fact, we're going over, but Josh, I wanted to ask you quickly your portfolio of that you're offering names under 5,000. How is that going? Have you seen an increase in sales for your portfolio that's priced under 5,000? Has it been flat, decreased? What are you seeing in that area?
I sell lot of those names in general. You know that I did have like a, I don't know, maybe like a week and a half drought um in May, but I mean I've sold two names just during this spaces uh in the $3,000 to $4,000 range. Um so they come through pretty regularly in that price range for me now.
Nice. So you're saying it's about the same as it was this time last year or 2 years ago, or the under $5,000
No,
names?
way more, way more.
Way more.
I sell way more names now, but that's because my portfolio is significantly bigger. I mean, I have 12,500 names in my portfolio, and I don't know, 8,000 of them, 9,000 of them are priced under 5K.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to hear it. All right, everybody. Really appreciate you being around here today and joining us live. That's important to us. Have the conversation. Thanks, David and James and Arif and Darcy for coming up here. Larry, it's always good to hear from you. Thanks for doing this today. And Mike Seiger, who came in to try to support the crew. Yeah, and Dave X next week. I hope we hear from you. I know you were saying you liked .si better than .energy, and Josh was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" But so we'll have a nice show lined up for next Thursday. Be sure to join us. It's how we do this on Thursdays, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and then the Domain Name Law Show. Arif, I know you're going to be there. He had an experience with the UDRP that we're going to talk about a case, and that's on Tuesday. Uh, Jeff, David, and I do the Domain Name Law Show at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays. So thanks for always joining on these Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'll get this DNX show on Spotify and Apple Podcast. It usually takes till tomorrow until it's ready to be uploaded there. But thanks for listening wherever you're at, and enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you're at. Take care of yourself. We'll see you next time.